One of the most important fundamentals of Bitcoin and therefore all cryptocurrency is the idea of self-custody. The idea that you store your funds, you control your funds, and you take responsibility over your own security and your own finances. Therefore, in choosing the way that you store those funds, your choice of a wallet, whether it be software or hardware, is one of the most important decisions that you will make, and one day could mean the difference between having millions and millions of dollars in cryptocurrency or having one heck of a sob story. But gone are the days where the only games in town were Trezor and Ledger. Today, there is a whole plethora of new hardware manufacturers coming out with all kinds of new devices offering new features and all different sorts of offerings. But the question is, are these devices any good? Well, stick around because in this video, I'll be reviewing one of the latest hardware wallets to hit the market and answering just that question. Hello there, honey badgers. Jonathan Levy here, and I have today in my hot little hands the SecuX V20, one of the latest hardware wallets to hit the market. And I've been playing around with this device for the last couple of weeks, and I have some very, very distinct impressions that I want to share with you. Now, before we get started, let's go ahead and answer the question, who is SecuX? Well, they are a Taiwanese company focused on all different sorts of cryptocurrencies with a real emphasis, according to their spokeswoman, Alice, on ease of use and usability for mainstream users, as well as access to DeFi. They told me directly that DeFi is one of their key priorities, and they want to make it easy for everyday users to access not only hardware devices, but also all the different sorts of DeFi platforms coming out today on the market. So let's go ahead and start out with the pros. But before we do that, of course, a gratuitous unboxing video. All right, so starting out with the pros of the SecuX V20, the first thing that I noticed when picking up this device is it is definitely high quality, made of, I believe it's aluminum, and just feels pretty great in the hand. The materials are clearly of the highest quality. The fit and finish is really, really fantastic, as you can see from these B-roll videos that I have shot for you. And just overall, it looks like a super high quality, well-made device. In addition, they are correct in assuming that their user interface is very simple, very user-friendly, and just generally, I have to say, I could realistically see my own mother, who is in her late 60s, using this device and understanding how to use it. I mean, it is dead simple. And when I spoke to the company, they did tell me our target demographic and audience is not the kind of person who uses a Trezor. We understand that the hardcore Bitcoin enthusiasts and crypto enthusiasts are going to go for a more advanced device like a Trezor. We're trying to market to people who are not that sophisticated in terms of cryptocurrency, don't understand programming, and want something very easy. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that. Again, I could see my mom using this device and not getting herself into too much trouble, which is a big statement. In addition to that, I had previously kind of griped about the battery life of some of the other new wallets to hit the market, including the Keystone Vault And I have to say that SecuX has done a really great job with this device. The battery life is solid. In all my testing, I only had to charge it once. It doesn't seem to suffer from some of the other problems of other devices on the market. And needless to say, there are some devices on the market that don't even have a battery, but need to be connected to a computer. So definitely a great job by SecuX. With this device, the battery will certainly last for as long as you need it, probably an entire workday. Now, the next pro is maybe a pro for you, not so much a pro for me, but I have to say that SecuX has done a lot of work to make sure that this device supports pretty much every coin on the planet, including the ones that are hard to support. You can see as I scroll through this endless list on their website of supported coins, they support everything. Solana, Ethereum, Cardano. If there is a coin out there, they probably support it, and they've done a ton of work to integrate with other services such as Wallet Connect, which I don't actually know what that is, but they told me it's a big deal because it allows you to actually stake your altcoins on this device. They've done a lot of work to make sure that they support every possible DeFi platform and alternative coin, or you know me, I'm just itching to say the word, shitcoin on the market. And if you are the kind of person who's investing in all kinds of new projects, well, you should know that they've put a lot of energy and effort into integrating all kinds of new coins at a breakneck pace. And that does seem to be where they're putting a lot of their focus and a lot of their emphasis. At the same time, Trezor claims to support 1,000 coins as well. So that pro is not unique maybe to the V20. One thing I really liked about this device is it supports multiple accounts for each coin. So if you're the kind of person who wants to separate on a device, say for example, you are separating out a Bitcoin savings fund for your kids, you don't want to have separate devices for each one of those accounts, but want to keep the funds separate. Maybe it's for work and personal. Maybe you want to separate your KYC Bitcoin from your non-KYC Bitcoin. This device does it, and according to their website, you can have 500 accounts per coin, or maybe it's 500 accounts in total. Either way, that's a very impressive figure. One of my gripes about the Keystone was that you cannot have multiple accounts. You only have to do it with hidden passphrase wallets. So there's no way to clearly see, as you can on, say, the Trezor or many other devices. The SecuX does a great job, makes it super easy for you to open additional accounts for each one of your coins. And I think that's a feature that more and more hardware manufacturers should include as more of us move more funds and start doing the kind of banking for our kids, our spouses, that we all hopefully will start doing. Another great feature, although it's a great feature with a caveat that I'll share later, is that this is mobile and desktop enabled. Yes, SecuX has released their very own mobile wallet for the iPhone and Android, as well as a pretty solid desktop app that you access through the browser, which puts it a league ahead of even established players in the market, which are considered the gold standard, like Trezor. Yes, many of you probably already know that unless you have an Android device, there is no way to access your Trezor from an iPad, iPhone, mobile device of that sort. And yet the SecuX does have a mobile wallet that you can access on the go, which is really, really great if you don't want to lug your laptop around. I've touched on this briefly before, but the SecuX also does support hidden passphrase wallets, which I think is a really, really important thing as more and more criminals, thieves, burglars, and just general bad guys start to understand more about crypto. You really want to protect yourself against that $5 wrench attack, the idea that someone will hit you over the head with a $5 wrench and force you to give away your password. If you are storing a significant amount of Bitcoin, you probably want to, at the very least, look into hidden wallets where you have your Bitcoin stored away in different hidden wallets, and then have a dummy wallet that you can reveal to attackers so they will get off your back, similar to the way that you probably want to have a fake wallet in your pocket if you are traveling in a developing country. This wallet supports it and makes it very, very easy for you to add those additional hidden passphrase accounts. Again, if you're storing a huge amount, you may want to go a step further than that, but this will allow you to do hidden wallets. My next pro, this is a supremely affordable device for $139 at the time of this recording, including the rechargeable battery, which puts it ahead of the $169 Keystone with a rechargeable battery and leagues ahead of the Trezor Model T, which is the comparable Trezor considering they both have touchscreens. The Trezor has no rechargeable battery, no remote mobile wallet access, and just generally, well, it costs $225 at the time of this recording. So that really makes the SecuX look supremely favorable. Of course, there is a cheaper version of the Keystone device, which I believe is $119, but does not include a rechargeable battery. So this wallet is well priced for what you get. I also want to give a shout out to SecuX because they do a pretty solid job explaining the security risks, ensuring that you write down your passphrase correctly, and just generally making sure that you understand, no matter how savvy or not savvy you are with cryptocurrency, the risks that you are taking. And they do a pretty good job handling a lot of the security features behind the scenes that you don't really need to worry about. They give you one 24-word passphrase. They do a good job with the whole Bluetooth navigating the one-time passcode, and they provide ample documentation that explains to you the importance of backing up your device. This device is certainly security focused. They help you ensure that you are not part of a phishing scam by providing anti-tamper seals, and I think they've done a good job thinking about security for the most part. We'll cover that a little bit more when we get into the cons. One more thing I do want to mention is, as I mentioned before, they are a Taiwan-based company, which I feel a little bit more comfortable trusting with my data than a company operating out of a country that is not a stable and free democracy. I've talked about this before. I have nothing against Chinese manufacturers, but I generally do feel more comfortable working with a company that is based in a stable democracy. I don't know what the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, will do in the future, if they will start insisting behind closed doors that there be backdoors put into devices made in China. I know there was a lot of stink made about Huawei and different software backdoors being put in. I don't know if that actually happened, but it certainly did scare me enough to say, it does matter when you're looking at the security-focused devices such as your smartphone or your software hardware wallet for your cryptocurrency. It kind of matters that these companies are operating in a stable democracy and not under a government that may twist their arms to put in backdoors. So Taiwan, definitely a country that is not authoritarian, and I generally feel pretty comfortable about the fact that this is designed and manufactured in Taiwan. And the final shout out I want to give out before I get into the cons is SecuX does have fantastic customer service. I had a lot of questions. They connected me directly to their head engineer. I don't know if that's because I'm doing a YouTube review, but they not only answered my questions within a few hours, they also got their head of marketing on the phone with me and answered all of my questions about future product pipelines, different things that I felt were missing, and just generally answered my questions. So if you're someone, again, who is not super sophisticated and savvy, and this is your first hardware wallet, know that you can safely trust that SecuX will be there to answer your questions and support you, because that is their market focus. All right, now let's get into the cons, and I hate to say this because the folks at SecuX were so lovely and so kind, and they did provide me this device for free to review, but there are a lot of cons, at least if you are a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist like myself. First, I would like a little bit more weight on this device. I feel like it could be a little bit heavier. That's a small con, but it's one thing that they may want to consider in a future version. The other thing, and we're starting really here with the not so important cons because I'm saving the really hard critiques for the end. The circular device. Really cool looking, very impressive, but unfortunately not so comfortable to work with. We're all used to working with a square device, and we have our, habituated pinky hold for a square device. The SecuX is a little hard to hold and just not as comfortable. I appreciate the unique approach that they took in wanting to design something that feels special and new and modern and unique, but it's not super comfortable to hold. At the same time, you're probably not going to be holding this device much like you would be holding your smartphone. You're probably just going to put it on the table next to your smartphone and use the smartphone to send out transactions. So that's not a big con, but I have to say sometimes the tried and true method of just building a rectangular device like everyone else is the way to go. All right, let's get on to the little bit more painful critiques. I have to say that the interface of this device is definitely a little outdated. I know I mentioned before that this device is designed and is really tailored towards non-technical, non-savvy users, but I honestly felt like I was working through the navigation screen or the infotainment system of a car in the early 2000s. Very low resolution screen really doesn't help that feeling, and you certainly feel like you are navigating through something that was designed maybe 20 years ago. Again, this is part of the ethos for SecuX, and so that's probably a deliberate design decision that they made, but as you can see through this B-roll, the interface definitely leaves something to be lacking, and for a device that looks so modern on the outside, it doesn't feel so modern to navigate the actual internals of the software. And by the way, that problem is really only compounded when we get to the mobile app, which I'll be talking about in a minute. Now, this next one is a really, really big red flag. SecuX is not open source. They told me in my Zoom conversation with their head of marketing that for security reasons, they are not open source because they do not want potential hackers to be able to look at the code and crack the unique way that they are pairing between the mobile device and the actual Bluetooth hardware device. And I have to say that answer is a huge red flag for me. It is completely standard and really expected in this industry that every single piece of software that you put out, whether it's Bitcoin Core itself or whether it is the wallets and clients that we use, needs to be open source. Some companies take this to the logical extreme, like Trezor, which makes not only their software open source, but also their hardware. Yes, you can build your own Trezor, and people have done it. And yet SecuX does not make any component of their hardware or software open source in any way, shape, or form. What that's essentially telling me is that I need to trust this company not only to have good intentions. I'm trusting that there's no backdoors in the software that they're hiding, but I'm also trusting that they're competent in not leaving bugs that someone else will be able to exploit. So for me, the whole argument of we are open source for your protection is a huge misnomer. And I honestly have to say I would not trust this wallet until I've seen lots of other people audit the code, audit the hardware, and come out with the resolution that it is either secure or find many of the bugs, as they've done with Trezor and other hardware devices, that will lead me to believe that it is secure intentionally and secure to the extent that all of the community has put their minds together and their thinking together to make this device more secure. That's a huge red flag for me, and it is one of the top reasons why I'm afraid I cannot recommend this device, at least not now. SecuX did tell me that they are hopefully one day going to be partially open source. And again, big red flag for me. This device needs to be open source. The software on it needs to be open source. And until it is, I'm sorry, guys, I can't recommend it. Now, we've already opened up the floodgates for the more critical and more painful cons of this device. Let's talk about the mobile experience. This device doesn't work with Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow, or any other software wallet that you may know. You can't actually even export your XPub to your device so that you can at the very least watch transactions in a watch-only fashion and generate yourself QR codes so that you could receive transactions without having this device on you. They cited to me that this is because they want to protect people from making mistakes and also because they don't want to open up to other software that may make them less secure. They're using a proprietary method, again, for connecting to Bluetooth and USB. And again, that answer doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit me. It doesn't sit well with me. The mobile experience of this device, as I'll show you in this B-roll video that I've recorded, is really bad. The app Looks like it is something from the early 2000s, the first days of the iPhone. It is extremely limited in functionality, and it doesn't have some of the basic things that you might want. Now again, SecuX sell this as a feature, not a bug, and they want to make it very easy to use the app. And like I said, they've done a pretty good job doing that. I feel like my mom could use this mobile app, could send transactions and receive them. But for those of us who are more user-friendly, well, the mobile app just doesn't cut it. Switching over to their desktop app, they've done a pretty good job designing a desktop experience for the browser that is almost up to snuff with something like a Trezor suite, but easier to use. So if you do end up buying this wallet, you'll probably have a better experience using the desktop version and the desktop browser. But then again, if you're gonna do that, what's the benefit of having a battery-powered, Bluetooth-enabled device? My advice to SecuX was, hey, connect to Blue Wallet and connect to the other well-known wallets like Electrum, and they told me that they're looking into it. Right now, they just launched with Wallet Connect, which will allow you to connect to a bunch of DeFi apps. I don't know about that because I'm not a shitcoiner, but they did tell me that they're looking into integrating with MetaMask, though I don't know much about that either because, again, I'm not a shitcoiner. They are looking into integrating Electrum as well, but that's going to be quite a while. So there you have it. Right now, if you want to use this wallet, you are stuck with their mobile app and their desktop experience, which, as I said, the mobile app is really bad. But again, Trezor doesn't even have a mobile experience, so do with that what you will. Now, my next criticism is a big one, at least if you understand Bitcoin and you're a Bitcoiner at heart and you want to do transactions as affordably as possible. This device does not support native SegWit BEC32 addresses, those newer addresses that start with BC1. It does support non-native SegWit, so the addresses here start with 3 as opposed to the very old addresses which start with 1. But that's a big, big deal for me. I want all of my wallets, if I'm transferring all my funds to a new device, I don't want to have to transfer them again to a native SegWit enabled device. And that was a red flag. You can see when I did the testing, I tried to delete and re-add the wallet. I tried to create a SegWit wallet, which is why you see the word SegWit in the B-roll. But unfortunately, native SegWit is not allowed on this wallet. For comparison, the Keystone does allow native SegWit, but only if you install the Bitcoin-only firmware. So you can see this isn't something that is universally available, but I will say that the Trezor in Trezor Suite only does allow native SegWit, and you don't have to give up the ability to store other alternative shitcoins. So that's a huge issue, and they did tell me that they are working on enabling native SegWit. They're actually going to be sponsoring the Bitcoin conference in 2022, and they're focusing more on creating Bitcoin-related features, such as native SegWit, in the coming year. Now, here's my next issue, and I alluded to this. This wallet does not support multisig, and it does not support Shamir backups, which means you get one backup, which backs up all of your different coins. And if you lose that backup or that backup is compromised in any way, shape, or form, you are SOL. Now, when I asked about this, they told me that this was because they're not focused towards institutionals or custodial services or customers that want to use custodial services. And that to me communicates a little bit of a misunderstanding about the capabilities of multi-sig. You see, I use multi-sig, I use things like Shamir backup to protect myself against the $5 wrench attack and be able to give an attacker my device and say, I can't access my Bitcoin. We would have to take a long drive to a very public place if you want to be able to access my Bitcoin. And if you have this device, an attacker will know that that is not true because this device does not support multi-signature, meaning this is a one-of-one signature for all your coins. And they know that there are hidden passphrases because it shows you right on the interface that you can create a hidden passphrase wallet, which puts you very much at risk for the $5 wrench attack. An attacker can just beat you over the head until you give them all the possible passwords. And in the event that you don't have any more passwords, well, they're going to torture the hell out of you because they don't know that you don't have any more passwords. So that really worries me. The fact that there's no Shamir backup really worries me as well because you're only as good as your hiding place for your backup. And if someone finds that backup, they can restore your entire wallet for all your different coins and all your different accounts right onto their own SecuX device. and you are screwed. Now, for comparison, these two devices are actually the only two on the market that do support Shamir backup, and they both support multi-sig wallets. This is a really big deal to me, especially because so many of you are going to be buying a hardware wallet to secure large amounts of Bitcoin or shitcoins. And if you cannot protect yourself against the $5 wrench attack, and you cannot protect yourself against someone breaking into your home safe and finding your keys, I hope you're not storing in somewhere as obvious as your safe. But if you are, or if you're storing it behind a picture frame and someone finds that, well, you're screwed. And my last critique and criticism of this device is not really that big of one, but it is the idea of Bluetooth and USB. See, I really like the idea of a device that is truly air-gapped and has no communications hardware or software for an attacker to exploit. This device is not that way. This device operates on Bluetooth, albeit with a one-time password that pairs the devices and supposedly does not let attackers intercept your connection. But let's face it, the code for this is not open source, so it's only a matter of time before someone exploits that and does whatever they want with it. They may share it with SecuX, or they may use it to intercept SecuX devices and their communications. When the biggest players in the industry and the most established trusted people in the industry like Trezor are victim to exploits where people have been able to use micrometers and wavelength sensors to intercept the USB communications of this device, you can only imagine that a smaller, newer company like SecuX is going to be victim to that much, much more. So while I respect the idea to go with Bluetooth and USB for ease of use and communication and the ability to pair with different devices, honestly, I wouldn't trust it with my Bitcoin. So here is my conclusion about the SecuX after some very, very harsh criticism, I admit. I think this is a great wallet if you are a complete noob who's looking to invest in every possible shitcoin that you possibly can. If you're really excited by the idea of DeFi and you want a wallet that is going to support every crappy coin that you can possibly throw your money at, this is your best bet. It's easy to use, especially if you're a beginner, but then I would argue if you're investing in different shitcoins and DeFi, are you a beginner, or could you possibly work your way around one of the more advanced wallets, such as the Keystone, the Trezor, or any of the other wallets on the market, such as Ledger or Elipal? I have to say, this wallet has some serious downsides and some serious red flags. Just the fact that it's not open source, the fact that it doesn't allow multi-sig or Shamir backups, and the fact that it only works with SecuX's very, very limited mobile wallet makes this wallet, unfortunately, a no-go for me. Again, if you want to help your mom invest in every possible DeFi project out there and stake right on her device, well, this is probably the device for her. But for anyone else, I have to say, this isn't the way to go. It does seem to me like the team has really focused their efforts on supporting as many coins as possible and rolling out compatibility for every new shiny thing that happens. As they told me themselves, you know, Solana hits the top 5, we have to integrate Solana, and then Solana changes the interface. Cardano hit the top 5, we changed our interface, we wanted to connect with Cardano, and then Cardano changed some protocol. It seems to me that SecuX is devoting most of their developer resources to supporting as many coins and DeFi projects as possible at the expense of very basic things, such as Bitcoin native SegWit, which came out years and years ago, multi-signature, and of course, compatibility with whatever wallet you want to use, whether that be Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow, or anything else. Ultimately, my conclusion, this wallet is not a wallet for Bitcoiners, and I honestly can't see myself recommending it for really much of anyone. But again, I'm not the kind of person who recommends buying into DeFi or shitcoins or Solana or whatever the latest, greatest shitcoin is today. I'm really sorry to the folks at SecuX. I hope you'll take some consideration of this different feedback, and I'll be more than happy to review this wallet again when new firmware is available and when some of those integrations with some of the more usable and advanced wallets are out there. That's my take. I would love to hear in the comments below what you thought if you own one of these wallets. Did this video convince you that you want to buy this wallet, that you don't want to buy this wallet, or what wallet are you using? Let me know about all that in the comments. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, I would love if you take a moment and subscribe, like, share it with a friend. We're trying to grow the channel and grow the impact. Thanks for watching, and happy hodling.